Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to MST.TV. This is Nishi bringing you guys another Market Watch episode. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome to... No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that to you guys again. But yes, we do have another Market Watch today. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at a few cards that have kind of caught my eye recently. I was actually going to look at making some sort of investment video, but a lot of the cards that I was going to talk about have already spiked in price. But that's okay, I'll look into some other things and hopefully bring those to you soon. For now, we're going to take a look at some of the cards that have jumped up in price the last couple of days, a couple of cards that I'm going to recommend holding on to, and a couple of cards that I think that you guys should be looking to sell or move right away. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so first up, we're taking a look at a few of the more recent OTS Tournament Pack Ultimate Rares. So these are a few of the more generic ones, cards that aren't just for any specific one deck. Just recently, these prices were relatively low, but because of the 10% bonus bucks offer that TCG Player offered earlier this week, we've seen a bunch of cards jump up in price. So Solemn Judgment Ultimate Rares before were only around $50 to $55, and now they're currently sitting at $85 a piece. Twin Twisters before were around $50, and now they're $75. Pot of Desires Ultimate Rare was before around $60, slowly started climbing up towards $70, and now is an $80 card. So the thing about these alties is that they were basically guaranteed to go up in price. Like, each of these cards is very generic and splashable theoretically in any deck. It's just a matter of like how the meta is and the exact deck that you're playing. I feel like there's always going to be a place for each of these cards in any meta moving forward, which is going to keep these cards fairly high in terms of price. Personally, I've been buying each of these cards wherever possible, and I'm pretty happy like with my investment. I paid $60 Canadian, so around 45-ish a piece for Ulti Desires, and I have like 7 of them, so I think that's great. I mean, like, if Ulti Pot of Duality is going to be a $120 card, then Pot of Desires, like a much more splashable, useful card in today's game, is going to at least reach that price in my opinion. Now, that being said, these cards are fairly new, so their prices aren't too high, as you can still go to your locals and potentially pull these from your OTS tournament packs. I would definitely expect that within the next 1 to 2 years, each of these cards will almost definitely be over $100. It's just a matter of like if you can hold on to that card for that long. If you need the cash, go ahead and sell them now while there is like that bit of hype, because I think in the short term, the prices will fall back down slightly as the market starts to correct itself. But if you're gonna look for something to hold on to as an investment for the next year or two, something that's high rarity and is going to retain value, these OTS Tournament Pack Ultimate Rares are about as good as it's gonna get, as max rarity staples that the player base is always going to want. Next up, let's talk about Generators. So Generators are a pretty cool deck that have some pretty interesting plays, but haven't really taken off at all yet. However, I think that all of that is about to change, and Generators actually have a lot of potential when the next set Eternity Code drops. So first of all, in Ignition Assault, they did get a trade-in for level 9 monsters where you can send a level 9 monster from your hand or field to draw 2 cards, which is a great draw card for the whole Generaider deck, as most of the monsters are level 9s. They are also going to be getting their own on-theme Lonefire Blossom that can be activated during your opponent's turn. Now that card is really cool because you can potentially pull out the right Generaider monster depending on your opponent's deck. So for that matchup, they also have a new Generaider monster, a level 9 that can negate a card or effect as well. So yeah, a lot of new tools that the Generaider deck is getting, and regardless of if you think it's good or not, I think that it's something to keep an eye on. So Boss Stage, the field spell, is an absolutely key card in the deck, and despite being only $3 to $5 before, it has now climbed all the way back up to $13. I think that this card definitely has the potential to go up and hit 20 to 25, maybe 30-ish dollars. So if you can grab them now for around $10 a piece, I definitely think that you should be doing so. Next up, Mardell, the Boss of Light, is the other short printed Generaider card from the Mystic Fighters set, and this one has actually been climbing up in price for a bit of a longer time. It was hitting around $25 before, but now it's kind of settled down and it's going back down to around $17 a piece. So this is a key card in the pure deck, as it's a searcher for generators. But I don't believe that this card is actually played in the new Generaider builds after Eternity Code, as the new level 4 that we're getting replaces Lone Fire Blossom, and instead of summoning this to search for another piece, you can go directly into that monster that you want to have onto the field, so Mardell is kind of less important. However, one of the cards that is played is Hela, the Generaider that allows you to summon a Generaider out of the graveyard, which then allows you to use that Generaider's effect. This is one of the cards that is actually played in the deck, and I believe that as far as the supers go from Mystic Fighters, it was actually one of the ones that's slightly harder to pull than the others. So I would try to grab them for $1 or so now if you are planning on playing the deck in the future, because I think they are going to be relatively hard to find. Now, one other card I want to mention here that isn't shown on screen is Condemned Witch, which is a secret rare from Soul Fusion that was never reprinted in the Megatons, a lot like Orchestrated Return, and we saw how crazy in price that got. Now, this is a card that people are talking about because, one, when you summon it, you can search for Forbidden Chalice, so it gives that Generaider deck access to that negate, that +1, and then also you can tribute the Condemned Witch to pull the level 4 Generaider out of the deck directly. It has pretty quietly become like a $5 card, and it might actually make the Generaider deck really, really good. So if you can grab them off of people for just like a couple of dollars, or you can grab them from a dollar binder or out of your bulk, it's a good card that you can sit on that requires minimal investment, and you can just kind of see what happens to it as time goes on. Alright, so next we're going to take a look at a couple of Xyz monsters that have been hyped up a little bit recently. So with the Master Rule changes coming in April, people are once again looking at the rank 4 toolbox, as it was previously one of the best toolboxes in the game, and Lunalight Time Thief is potentially going to be a really strong deck moving forward, as they can flood the field with rank 4 monsters. So one of the plays that is being considered is using Utopia Double to become Utopia Kaiser, since you can go into any Utopia monster, and then you can use that to bring out number 11 Big Eye. You can then use the Phantom Knight rank up magic that is now unbanned to turn Big Eye into Kali Yuga during your opponent's turn and basically stun them for the entire turn. So overall, I guess it's kind of cute. I don't know how consistent that is going to be though, because it seems like there are a lot of different parts that have to work in order for you to do that. So I guess we'll see. Anyways, because of this, Utopia Kaiser is now a $10 card for the secret rare version. Unless you guys want to play this super or ultra to flex on your opponent, go ahead. It was only like a couple of dollars before, then it jumped to like 5 or 6, and now it's going to be even higher. Overall, I'm not necessarily going to say that you should buy or sell. I think it's kind of up to you guys. If you guys think that this is like a really good play and you guys are going to want to play this in your Lunalight Time Thief decks, then go ahead and hold on to it. But if you guys are thinking, wow, this play sucks, there's too many like bricks in the deck, I'm not going to be doing this at all, then definitely go ahead and sell your Utopia Kaiser into the hype. Next up, number 11 Big Eye is a weird card here because it's necessary for that combo, but not one of like those key cards that you're going to end on. You want to just bring out any dark rank 7 number monster. The ultimate rares currently of Big Eye are like $28 a piece, which is up from its previous market price of around $20. Honestly, I don't think that this play is big enough of a catalyst to justify picking up the ultimate rare version of Big Eye. It's just like a stepping stone, so personally, I would rather grab a cheap ultra rare for now if I wanted to play the combo. And then finally, guys, the other Xyz monster we're looking at here is number 27 Dreadnought Dreadnoid. So this one is actually kind of cool. If it does kill a monster by battle, you get to turn it into one of the huge rank 10 or higher machine Xyz monsters. So you're looking at something like Gustav Max or Lieb or Great Magnus. People did kind of freak out about this one at first, and for a while, the cheapest one on TCG Player was like $50 to $60 or something crazy like that. But yeah, now that everyone has kind of gotten everything under control, people are listing their quantities back onto the market, it's back to being just around a $20 card or so. I still think that that is a bit overpriced for what it is. The card itself seems pretty situational, so I'm not entirely sold on it. It is definitely a card that I'm going to be looking at selling within the next week or two into the hype. Now, let's briefly talk about a couple of cards that I personally think you should be looking to sell. So in Dual Overload, Konami has announced 3 different archetypes that have cards getting reprinted in the set: Witchcrafters, Madolches, and Dinosaurs. This actually makes a lot of sense because each of these archetypes is also going to get a number of support cards in the TCG in Eternity Code. So it does make sense to reprint these cards now to make them more accessible to players to help push out the next set. Now that being said, I would definitely recommend selling off any extra copies of cards that you might have from any of these 3 archetypes, just in case they get reprinted. So for Witchcrafters, I believe there's only 1 or 2 cards that are really expensive from the deck. Cards like Witchcrafter Creation, which is currently like a $30 card. Madolches, which are probably the archetype that need a reprint the most, to be honest, are finally going to see some reprints, so I definitely think that cards like Madolche Magellan, Madolche Angeli, and Madolche Chocolat a la Mode are among the cards that are going to be included in the set for sure. And then for dinosaurs, we do have something like Devil Evolution Pill, which only has 1 printing from an old Battles of Legend set. But also, the cards from the dinosaur structure deck have gotten pretty expensive and probably need to be reprinted soon. Cards like Soul Eating Oviraptor, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, and Lost World. All of these cards should be on your radar, and even if you have to sell them for like a decent percentage under market value, if they're extra copies, I would definitely do this. Now, I'm not saying you have to. I definitely understand that a lot of people like their Madolche decks, for example, and they want to keep them in the highest rarity or the original rarity and not have to buy them back again after, or they want to play the deck in the interim, and that's totally cool. But what I am going to recommend is that if you aren't attached to the deck, you have these cards sitting around in your binder, make that extra bit of money and go move the cards now. Now, the other thing that we have to remember is that not everything from each of these archetypes is necessarily going to be reprinted. So if we look at Madolches, it's definitely possible that we could see only Magellan and Chocolat a la Mode reprinted, and then as a result, it's going to cause a spike in the price of Angeli. But because we don't know and we can't say exactly what cards are going to be reprinted, it's definitely the safer move to move all of these cards while you can and not take that gamble. Next up, a quick note about Traptrix. So Traptrix are a cute little archetype. They're a really interesting stun anti-meta sort of deck. The deck is actually really underrated, I think. My friend Pascal played them against me and he really caught me off guard with them. Now, really important to note is that they have a really good card coming in Eternity Code called Grave Hole, which is basically a trap version of Called by the Grave, but it also burns your opponent for 2000 damage, and you can activate it with Traptrix Rafflesia. So definitely an archetype that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Now, there's nothing crazy expensive with the Traptrix archetype, but there are a lot of cards here that were worth only a few bucks before, but are now steadily going up in price. So Traptrix Sarah, this is a Link 1 that's actually ridiculously good. It was only a $3 to $5 card before, and now it's a $10 card. Traptrix Rafflesia, a card that only has 2 secret rare printings before and was only a couple of dollars, is now a $6 card. This card is also something that can be made by those rank 4 decks, so they might be something that you should look into grabbing soon. And then finally, guys, Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare is interesting because it negates the activated effect of a special summon monster. Now, this one has been a pretty small climb from around $10 to $16, so not really the huge spike in price that we would typically expect from an ultimate rare card. And I think that this increase in price is just because it's one of those older Astral Pack ultimate rares that has potential, but it's not necessarily going to be a very good card. So people just kind of grab their playsets just in case someone tops with it and then it spikes in price as a result. Now, there are other cards that you may want to keep an eye on. Cards like Super Murmelio, they're $5 a piece, or you can look at Gold Rare Dianeas, which are a few bucks as well. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to be meta or anything, but I definitely think the Traptrix cards are really cool. They're small cards that you should be picking up here and there because I think that the deck has a lot of potential moving forward, and there's definitely a chance that these prices are going to continue climbing up as time moves on. Okay guys, so the last couple of cards I wanted to mention here, we're looking at Droll and Lockbird and the Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere Mode. So what these two cards have in common is that each of them is a very good side deck card against spirals. So with Droll and Lockbird, you basically end their turn by stopping them from searching. After that first search, they can't generate advantage with Resort, Master Plan, or Quick Fix at all, and they can't build their board. I think that at the Pro Play Games event, a lot of players were actually maining Droll and Lockbird in anticipation for a lot of Spyral players. On the other hand, with Sphere Mode, you contribute their Trigate Wizard, Appaloosa, and Sleeper with no problem at all, and then proceed to tear apart their board. Now, with Spirals looking like a tier 1, maybe even tier 0.5 deck this format, everyone is going to be citing a lot of Spyral hate, so you're going to want to have access to each of these cards. Droll and Lockbird is a card that does have a history of going up in price a lot. And while the alties are like $75, something crazy like that, we are also seeing the prices of the lower rarities go up as well. So we're seeing the ultras and supers up at around $15 a piece, and then even the commons and rares, the commons being from a very recent structure deck, are $5 a piece now, which is honestly really crazy, especially for a card that has so many printings. Sphere Mode is an alternative that does burn your normal summon, but it does work if you draw it as that 6th card. You don't have to open with it in order for it to be effective against the Spyral deck. Sphere Mode does have 3 prints, but it's kind of fallen off over the last little while, right? When we saw Orchis running around, they were down at like maybe $1 or $2 a copy. However, we're now actually seeing a lot of Sphere Modes getting bought out, and the price is going up across the board, as the cheapest copies now of all of the prints are around $5 a piece on TCG Player. So yeah, if you're looking to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, I think that these two are among your best options. There are still other cards that are good to use, right? Cards like Evenly Matched or Dark Ruler No More, but like each card has their own pros and cons, and I think that a lot of the player base is looking at Droll and Lockbird and the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere Mode as the best cards to side for that matchup. So definitely think, guys, about what cards you want to be siding for the Spyral matchup, and then pick them up for use over the next couple of months while we experience Spyral format round 2. Alright guys, that is it from me for today's episode. It has been a pretty hectic last couple of days, a lot of changes going on the market, so hopefully this helps you keep up to date with all of that. Now we do have Ignition Assault finally dropping this week, but honestly, outside of like Lightning Storm and Gizmet Kaku, there's no like chase cards in the set. There's not a lot to get too hyped up about. I am going to be looking to pick up all of the Plunder Patrol stuff, but I am going to be waiting for the prices to drop a little bit before I do. And I'm very lucky I managed to finish my set of Lightning Storms and get a couple of Gizmecs at the sneak peek for relatively cheap. I pulled one of the Lightning Storms, which is great, except one of my Lightning Storms is prismatic, so I will not be playing that. I do need a 4th copy to play with, but oh well, I can't complain. But yeah guys, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me, and as always, leave a comment down below. Let me know what stuff is going on the market that I may have missed, so hopefully I can cover it in another episode. And of course guys, make sure that you have hit that subscribe button to get all of the latest content from Tombox and myself. And as always guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.